Hey everybody, Jim here, and I've just returned home from a really epic game hunting trip today. I went way out to West Tokyo to go to a hard off to do some retro game hunting. I found a ton of games today, really great stuff. And there was one item in particular that unfortunately I was just never going to be able to leave that store with because honestly, probably the most rare and expensive thing I've ever come across on one of my game hunts. So you'll get to see what that was, and stay tuned to the end of the video where I will show you what my best finds of the day were. But with that being said, let's go game hunting.
It's showtime!
Hello everybody, Jim here. Welcome back for another game hunt today. Right now I am in the neighborhood of Tachikawa. Tachikawa, for those of you who don't know, is still in Tokyo, but it's way out in West Tokyo. If you take the train west from Shinjuku, for example, it's about a 45-minute train ride on the rapid train, so it's pretty far west, almost as far west in Tokyo as you can go. Like, you're actually seeing mountains and stuff. We're here today. I'm gonna go to a hard off that I actually haven't been to in about 3 years. I think the last time I went there, I went with a friend and we got a lot of games and some other cool stuff, and it was a lot of fun, but I haven't been there in a long time, so I figured I'd go check it out again, see if we can find some games, hopefully for some decent prices. Out here in West Tokyo, this kind of is like my favorite, or used to be my favorite hunting spot when I lived in this area. So we're gonna see once again if we can find some great games. So let's take a nice leisurely walk. Google Maps says it's gonna be about 15 to 20 minutes, maybe a little longer. Monorail for you. Some hot monorail action. So I think we're gonna head up north. I came out the south gate like an idiot, but I need to go north. So we are gonna go for a nice walk. We're gonna go to this hard off. We're gonna hunt for some games, and we're gonna see what we can find. So stick around. We will be there soon-ish. Soon-ish. Not too soon. It's gonna be a little bit of a trek, but I'm up for it. I need the cardio. All right, let's go. So here we are, this hard off house combination thing. Off house is like, you know, a hard off, but it's got household stuff you can use, vacuum cleaners, and I think they have even like clothes and furniture to a certain extent. So it's kind of like a half and half. So that's pretty cool. And as you can see, very different from where we just were at Tachikawa Station. Actually, it was a little bit further of a walk than I thought it was going to be. It was more like a half an hour walk to get here, and so we went from sort of like a commercial district around Tachikawa Station to sort of this, you know, much like more quaint area on the outside of Tachikawa. It's actually, I'll put a Google Map link to this place in the description if anyone ever wants to come here. It's the Tachikawa Sakae hard off. But yeah, like I said, it's been a few years since I've been here, but last time was pretty fruitful. So we're gonna get inside and see if they have anything that I might like. Specifically, lots and lots of video games. So let's do it. Let's get inside this hard off, do a little bit of a game hunt, and come away with some cool stuff. Let's do it. Rock and roll.
企業秘密教えようか。こんなに薄くてゲームができるセガマイカード。 新作続々ピットフォール2ドキドキペンギンランドチョップリフター
スクープだ。ソフトがカードになった。セガマイカード。
All right. Getting started in this hard off, immediately finding something awesome. An MSX2 for $27,500. This Panasonic produced model. Very rarely do I come across anything like this, like retro computer-wise, in a hard off or something. So that was super cool to find. And for $16,500, they have a Panasonic 3DO, which is the model I had back in the day. Not a great console, but whatever. And a Master System boxed, but it's also marked as being junk. So it would probably need some repairs. But that's cool too. I also don't come across very many Master Systems and things like that. SG 1000s and what have you. Some Famicom Minis. I've actually been coming across these more and more as of late. I guess a lot of people are, they had their fun with those. They're turning them in. But we've got some N64s as well. Those are pretty cool. Those are priced right at around like 5,000, 6,000 yen. And a boxed Super Famicom for 5,500 yen. That's actually a really good deal. That's like 40 bucks for a boxed Super Famicom. Don't come across that too much. 4,400 for this PS1. So that's like $35 probably. And a legit PS1. And that is actually a little more expensive at $49,500. Silver GameCube, which again is the one I had when I was a lad. 6,050 yen. Not so bad. So that's like less than 50 bucks. Probably like 46 bucks. You get a GameCube. We have just the loose deck of a Famicom, an AV Famicom, and they're charging like 8,800, 9,000 for those. That's excessive. If it came with controller and hookups and everything, maybe you could get away with that. And a boxed PlayStation with a nice translucent controller. Isn't that lovely? And a Famicom all by its lonesome with the hookups. That's $49,500. And an Orange Spice Game Boy player. Boxed Mega Drive 13.2 Sega stuff. Typically going to be a little more on the expensive side. And a boxed Famicom. That original box is lovely. So that's very cool. A little yellowed. It's $16,500 though. That's quite expensive. And then here we come to this case, which had some... It's got something in it that I've never seen before on a game hunt. Not including these like Game Boys and GBAs and stuff. I see those quite often. But there's some cool stuff in here. There's Game & Watch, legit old school Game & Watch, Popeye, and what have you. So that's very cool. And some Game Boy, Famicom, Super Famicom games down here. Good stuff too, including Turtles in Time for 3,300 yen. That's after tax, so that's like 25, 24 bucks. So that was definitely going to be a pickup today. But we've got all these really good games in here. There was Captain Commando, all kinds of value. We've got a PC Engine core graphics. We've got a Super CD system, but this was crazy. 385,000 yen, about $3,000 for this Iowa Sega Mega Drive, Sega CD boombox thing. I forget, it's called the Iowa SG something or other. But it's a boombox that also plays Mega Drive and Sega CD games. That blew me away. 32X box for 33,000 yen. 44,000 for a Super Graphics, but look at that. I've never seen one of those before on a game hunt. It's about $3,000. Kind of looks like my sister's old boombox from the late 90s. Jeez. So there you go, folks. That was one of the most rare, expensive things I've ever come across. And we're not done yet. We're just getting started. We've got some Neo Geo AES games. Oh, in the case. Yeah, I'm still like floored that I actually came across that. There was no way I was going to buy it, but it was cool just to see it. We've got some box stuff. We got Contra. We got Metroid. We got Rockman X. We've got some Super Adventure Island. We've got Gradius 3 for $29.70 box. That ain't bad. We've even got a PCFX game. One of the Tengai Makios, it looks like. So that's kind of cool. Some PC Engine stuff, including Valis. We've got Burger for the PS1. Street Fighter 2 on the Mega Drive. Lots of stuff. I'm just saying the names of games now. Yeah, I'm that blew me away when I saw that thing, and I was like, holy crap! If I was the kind of person that had just $3,000 laying around, that thing would have went home with me. I would have lugged it home, but alas, I am not that moneyed of a person. Now we're getting into the games aisle proper. This is where the bulk of the games were, and we're starting off with all these N64 games. Most of this stuff was priced pretty good. There's a lot of stuff. As you can see here, Wave Race 64, 300 yen, so that's like $2 for a copy of Wave Race 64. That's really good. So a lot of the common stuff on these cartridges, Diddy Kong Racing, my preferred kart racer on the N64. Don't hate me for that. I know some people get really riled up about that. Mario Kart versus Diddy Kong Racing. They had a lot of common stuff, more common stuff for like a few bucks. Even here, a box copy of Mario Story Paper Mario. It's like 1,000 yen, which right now is like $7 or something. And so a lot of this stuff, pretty cheap right now. Zelda, Ocarina of Time with its awesome box art. That's another one that's not going to set you back too much. A lot of this stuff, if you're going to pick it up in box, you know, this is stuff it's kind of collector's stuff these days, because, you know, the age, you don't want to bring out the old 64 and hook it up, but you do like to have some boxes on the shelf. It's just nice to have if you're a collector. And we've got a lot of Super Famicom stuff here, including Zelda, Mario, all the classics, even some good old Street Fighter 2. And again, these are 300 yen. You can pick these up for like $2. And that ain't bad. Dragon Ball Z Super Butoden 3. That's a fun one. The Super Butoden games are okay. There's Garo Densetsu back there, aka Fatal Fury. So that's cool. And then, right next to it, Fatal Fury 2, Garo Densetsu 2. And I also ended up finding a special. There's Seiken Densetsu 2, aka Secret of Mana, for a few bucks. Some more DBZ stuff. Even a Joe and Mac with manual. And then this one I thought was awesome. Found the Combat Tribes for not too much. And it came with the manual as well. Combat Tribes, cool game. Don't come across it that often. And for like 10 bucks, I wasn't going to say no. So that came home with me today. We've got Puyo Puyo Remix. I'm a big Puyo Puyo fan. And then down here, we've got just a whole bunch of boxed Super Famicom games. And again, most of this you can get for 10 bucks or less. Here's some Super Puyo Puyo, 500 yen. So that's like, I don't know what, $3.50? And you can get yourself a box copy of Super Puyo Puyo. That's nice. We got a whole bunch more stuff down here, including Super Donkey Kong 2, and that's probably about $5, aka Donkey Kong Country 2, and some Yoshi's Island. Also looking real good, and that's 1,000 yen, so that's again like $7 maybe. Final Fantasy V and its beautiful box, and they had a bunch of copies of that. Those are under 10 bucks as well. So yeah, with the exchange rate as of late, dollars to yen, I mean, these games, I don't think they've been this cheap, this affordable in a long time, if you're doing like a conversion there. We got some Kid Clown, some more Seiken Densetsu 2. This I thought was really cool. This is some Battle Dodgeball for 300 yen. It's a bunch of chibi, Gundam, and Kamen Rider and Ultraman characters playing dodgeball. So, I mean, come on, who can argue with that? Throw a little Ultraman into your dodgeball game. It's instantly a better dodgeball game. Rockman 7, which I was like, okay, gonna pick it up, but then it's so yellowed. I decided not to, even though the price was pretty good. Magical Taruru Tokun. Pretty fun little Japan exclusive, and that's only 500 yen. So, the back was a little ratty looking, but the cover, the front, was pretty immaculate. So, I mean, come on. The thing up front looks good, the thing in the back, yeah. Right? We sweep it to the back. We don't mind. But there you go. Lots and lots of Super Famicom games. There was plenty more to dig through. I didn't, you know, after I shut the camera off, I do some proper digging because I don't want these videos to drag on too long. 800 yen for Famicom Jump. This is a pretty cool couple of little RPGs released back in the day featuring a bunch of different jump characters. So you've got like Dragon Ball, Fist of the North Star, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, all that cool stuff. Tecmo Cup Soccer, which anything Tecmo made was great. There's also Captain Tsubasa. Those are pretty cool cinematic little soccer games based on the manga and anime series.
Speaking of, we got all this other good stuff here. We've got Dragon Ball, aka Dragon Power, Ninja Ryukenden 2, aka Ninja Gaiden 2. That's a good one, so that was coming home with me as well. Kind of when I'm shooting the video, I do this before I really do the proper game hunt. I kind of like take mental notes of the stuff I'm finding. If it's something like I grab and want to take like a closer look at, it's probably something I bought that day. And we've got some Makaimura, aka Ghosts and Goblins. And that ain't bad either. And then this I thought was funny. Dragon Quest IV in a clamshell. And then I figured out somebody just took the box, cut the box up, and then slipped it into a clamshell case like a sleeve. Made a clamshell Dragon Quest IV, a little makeshift. So I thought that was kind of cool. But then here, there's these PC Engine games I hadn't noticed. They had Image Fight, they had Sidearms, they had really good stuff. Well, not the Altered Beast CD or Fighting Street, those suck. But R-Type 2, great. Dragon Saber, awesome. Some Tengai Makyo, and R-Type 1. So I did end up grabbing most of those PC Engine shooters, which I think we'll take a look at a couple of those a little later in the video. Some Saturn stuff, including X-Men vs. Street Fighter Zero, King of Fighters 95, and then some other stuff down here that was a little more affordable. Virtua Fighter Kids for, what is that, 800 yen? So that's not so bad. That's actually more, I think, than it costs somewhere like, even at like Super Potato or something. Puyo Puyo 2, good stuff. I sound like a broken record when I say I love the series. Puyo Puyo Sun, also great. And then just some other random stuff down here. Fighters Mega Mix, which ain't bad. They had a shocking lack of Dreamcast games. Soul Hackers by Atlas, pretty cool little game on the Saturn, which I don't think got an international release. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, surprising lack of Dreamcast. All I really found of interest was What's Shenmue, which was like a promotional disc released before Shenmue came out, and it had some cool little interviews and things on it, and some stuff to hype up the game. Now we were getting into some PS1, and the first thing I saw that I thought was really cool was Ultima Underworld, the Stygian Abyss, which I wasn't aware any of these old PC Ultima games had been ported to like consoles, so I thought that was cool to find. Clock Tower 2, this is known as just Clock Tower in the US. The original Clock Tower was not released outside of Japan. But I am a fan of the Clock Tower games. They are quite awesome. As you can see, we've got all these various PS1 games, including Jumping Flash, which was an awesome early showcase of what the PS1 could do. A fun game as well. That and the sequel are both pretty cool. We've even got some Ganbare Goemon. One of the, I'm guessing, like the 3D games. There's so many Goemon games. I have not played all of them. That's a Jimmy Hoppa kind of thing. King of Fighters 95 on the PS1 for 500 yen, which is how I originally played this game. I had not played a Neo Geo, but I did play 95 on the PlayStation, and that's what got me into the series originally. Street Fighter Zero, which is considerably cheaper than its Saturn counterpart. We've got some Dragon Quest monsters, Dragon Quest 7. Anything Dragon Quest is always going to be pretty affordable. We've got all these Tales games as well, which are cool. And then we have this, which I thought was kind of interesting. Tales of Fandom, Volume 1. What the hell is that? Well, it looks like it's just a whole bunch of little mini-games and little bonus materials made specifically for fans of the Tales series. So that's pretty cool. Not something that you come across too often. As we move right along, some more PS1 games on display here, including some RPGs, Bomberman Land, that's pretty cool. Harry Potter, for some reason, and some Parodius Deluxe Pack. So this has 2 or 3 different Parodius games in it. There's like Parodius Da, and I think like Oshaberi Parodius. So that's a pretty good deal. If you like Parodius, you can get a few games in a single package and have some fun with that. And then, well, I just had to come on, simulate having a pet puppy and or kitty. That's awesome. If you live in a building that doesn't allow pets, next best thing is that game on the PlayStation. Actually, there are probably other better things. We got some Biohazard games on the PlayStation, a series that I've always been a big fan of. This one I thought was kind of interesting. Belt Logger 9. I saw that. I'd never seen this title before. Still don't really know what the hell it is, but it was just one of those things where it's like, I have to pick that up and look at it. What is this? A PlayStation game I've never heard of. It makes me wonder how many others are out there. There's some Final Fantasies. These are cool. They had a whole bunch of these Rockman games lined up here, including X3, X4, X6, and Rockman 2, Complete Works. So that's pretty cool. Moving right along. PS2, a console I pick up a lot of games for. They had some good stuff in there. Like, I think, what is that? Curse of Darkness, which is one I like a lot. These Fatal Fury collections, which are cool. And this one, the title I forget. You have to excuse me because my kanji is quite terrible. But I remember seeing this all the time. I think there was an old show called Cinematheque on like G4 where they would just play like cutscenes and stuff from video games. And that would come up all the time. We have a PS2 big box version of Seaman. Don't panic. Seaman. So I guess they took that original Dreamcast classic, put it on the PS2. And I'm pretty sure, wasn't there a Seaman 2? I can't recall. And then here, I thought was pretty cool. King of Fighters 11 for 1,100 yen with, you know, after tax. So it's like, I don't know, like an $8, $7-8 game. Which is cool because King of Fighters 11, that's one of my favorites in the series. Maybe my favorite. It's really good. And then we found Tenchu. You know, which one was this? Tenchu something or Tenchu 3. I forget what the subtitle was in English, but I was a huge, huge fan of the Tenchu series back in the day. And sometimes it is still fun to go back and play those games. But there's some Tekken Tag, other various cool things. So they had a ton of PS2, and then over here they also have like, they had PSP, they had PS Vita, they had so much stuff. This I thought was interesting, the Hitman Trilogy, and I was like, wait, this got a release in Japan? No! It's got the ESRB rating on it, so this is actually just someone here in the area was, I guess, just a big Hitman fan. So they got the Hitman Trilogy from the US, so that's the North American version. Even though there are some Hitman games, as we can see here, Contracts and Silent Assassin, both on the PS2, which I was also a huge Hitman fan back in the day. I remember those Hitman forums gearing up for, well, when Contracts came out, and then when Blood Money came out, everybody was just anticipating the hell out of that. Some Dragon Ball Z games here, including Dragon Ball Z Sparking Neo, I think is the second one in the Tenkaichi Budokai series. Those were always fun. Some Street Fighter 2 and all that. That's wonderful. And then we just have more, and I felt like this was dragging on quite long enough, so we'll wrap it up in a little bit. Battle Stadium DON, which is basically Smash Brothers with Dragon Ball, One Piece, and Naruto characters. And then we've got a bunch of stuff for Wii, DS, 3DS, PS3, PSP, PS Vita. Everything under the sun was in this aisle, and well, to be completely honest, I was like, this has gone on long enough. They even had some Switch games, which is pretty cool too. I pick up quite a lot for my Switch these days. Anyway, that's gonna do it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get the hell out of here and see what I got. Okay, so there you go. Pretty epic game hunt today. That particular Hard Off had some amazing stuff in it, including that crazy Sega Mega Drive, Mega CD boombox thing for like $3,000. That was, I mean, it was awesome to see it, but at the same time, I really was crying inside because it's so cool. But yeah, I didn't have $3,000 to blow today, but I did end up taking home 25 games. I wanted to bring home more, but I was, you know, behaving myself today. I decided not to go too crazy about it. Plus, I was on foot today, so lugging all those games around was gonna, you know, be a real strain on my back. But we did pick up 25 games today. The grand total came out to 24,200 yen. which is really good with the current exchange rate, especially considering the quality of pretty much all the games I picked up today. But the finds of the day, I do have 4 games right here that I think of all 25 games I picked up today. These were the ones I was the most excited for. Right off the bat, super clean copy of Turtles in Time. Don't have to say too much about this game. It is, I would say for a long time, it was the best beat 'em up ever made. Maybe now it's been surpassed by other more modern beat 'em ups that have taken the genre further than it's ever gone before. But for a long time, to me, this game was the king of the mountain when it comes to beat 'em ups. And it's probably still my favorite beat 'em up, even though I don't think it's any longer the best one ever made, but probably still my favorite. So Turtles in Time, and it was like, with the exchange rate, this was probably like 22 bucks, which is like a fantastic deal, like at least, you know, 20-30% cheaper than I would usually see a loose copy of that for. Next up, another beat 'em up, this one by Technos Japan. It's the Kamba Tribes, and it did come with the manual as well, so that was a nice little bonus. The Kamba Tribes, if you've never played it, again, Technos Japan developed, and they also developed the various Kunio-kun games, as well as the Double Dragon series. So if you've ever played a Double Dragon game, I would say this has more in common with those, with maybe like Double Dragon 2 or Super Double Dragon or something like that. Pretty straightforward beat 'em up, co-op gameplay if you have a second player available, and it's just simple but very fun beat 'em up action. Decent graphics, decent sound, very fun gameplay, and so it's pretty damn cool. I was always going to pick this one up. The Kamba Tribes with its manual, and this is another one that was like way cheaper than I usually see it for. I think I got this for like, again with exchange rate, this was like $12. Very good. And then these 2 PC Engine games that I just could not pass up, even though they were a little more expensive than everything else I picked up today. Actually, probably about the same price as Turtles in Time. First up, for the PC Engine, I did grab a copy of Sidearms. And Sidearms, I believe this was originally a Capcom shoot 'em up, but licensed to NEC Avenue. They did the development on the PC Engine version. They did a really good job too. Sidearms, pretty straightforward side-scrolling shoot 'em up. You got a nice, cool giant robot. You're flying through space, blowing everything up. You have a whole bunch of different weapon power-ups and things that you can get for yourself, so that's pretty cool. You get lasers and spread shots and missiles and little options to follow you around, all kinds of cool stuff. So Sidearms is really cool. There's actually a PC Engine CD version called Sidearms Special, which is also pretty cool, but I actually prefer the HuCard version because I do think it plays just a bit better. But yeah, Sidearms on the PC Engine, great game, and another fantastic classic PC Engine shoot 'em up. I found a copy of Image Fight, so I was definitely taking that home today. Image Fight, developed by Irem. Irem, as far as their shooters go, they are better known as the developers of the R-Type series. R-Type is amazing. That's really great side-scrolling shoot 'em up series. Image Fight, excellent top-down shoot 'em up. Not so much in common with R-Type though. This one I feel is like kind of a more, I don't want to say like traditional shoot 'em up, but it doesn't have quite the slow, methodic pace of an R-Type game. But you can get a whole bunch of pods around your ship, like gun pods. You can get like, I think 2 or 3 of them, if not 4, but they can go all around your ship, fire in all kinds of directions, get a bunch of weapon power-ups and all that stuff. Still an Irem shooter though, so it's still very challenging, but it's extremely fun, and nice graphics, nice sound design, great gameplay. Couldn't go wrong with this one. So Image Fight, I had to pick that up today. And there you go. Those are like my finds of the day. Those are the games I was most happy to pick up. But just sitting over there, there's a big stack of 21 other games that I picked up today. All good stuff, and all pretty reasonably priced too. Some of them were only like 300 yen, which with exchange rate right now is like maybe $2. Really cheap, affordable games for what I would say is some really good stuff for Super Famicom, PlayStation, Sega Saturn, PS2. Great stuff today. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like I said, I will put like a Google Map link down in the description, so if you're ever in Tokyo If you fancy yourself a game hunter, you can go and find that awesome hard off out there in Tachikawa. Even came across a book off not too far from that hard off, which, believe it or not, actually had more games in it than the hard off did. The book off, I was floored by it. Blew me away how many games they had. That's going to be in a different video though, so maybe look out for that one. But with that being said, again, thanks everybody for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I would love to see you on the next one. Take care. Goodbye.